Welcome to Haunt Topic Radio, the podcast for haunters by haunters. These are our scary visions.
Influencers, which I think are going to become more important because of the trust crisis that everything is creating. So I do think still having the influencers and having some budget allocated to that, where they're making a real piece of content at your attraction and they have access to an audience that trusts them, I still think that's going to be even more critical this year because of the whole AI trust apocalypse thing.
Welcome back to another episode of Haunt Topic Radio. In this podcast episode, we get Philip Hernandez on from the Haunted Attraction Network. Of course, Philip has been on before. We try to get Philip on at least once a year to kind of keep us updated on what's going on in the haunt industry. A little bit about Philip, what he's been doing this last 12 months. We also talk about off-season haunts, how to get started in those. Are you spending the right amount of time on social media? What social media platform should you be using? Is TikTok still good? What's Philip doing about TikTok right now? Marketing, having media nights at your haunted attractions, public relations, things that Philip's seen around the country, and lots more. Philip is packed full of information. We love getting Philip on because he knows a lot of things about a lot of things. So tune in. We also want to invite you to Trans World Halloween and Attraction Show. Unfortunately, Daryl will not be able to make it this year. I will be there. Some of our help will be there. A whole new redesigned booth. We're going to have a corner booth this year. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see us where we're at. So we're trying a corner booth this year and see what the corner. We're redesigning the booth right now. Trans World is March 26th to the 29th in St. Louis, Missouri. Go to haashow.com to sign up. We will be at booth 1434. Swing by and say hi. Well, let's roll into it. Our interview with Philip Hernandez from the Haunted Attraction Network. Because Mr. Philip here he's quite the traveler. He likes to go different places and see different things. Philip, how many places have you been this year anyway?
This year, it's just February.
Oh, well,
so what,
okay,
only 30?
So it's the last 12 months.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Lately I've been like, what day is it? Where are we? Is the Trans World here yet? I don't know.
Man, it's coming up close though, man. It's like almost next week is middle of February. So, because February's got 28 days, 29?
Yeah.
Yep. So it's a little more than a month away. Yeah. I know. It's been crazy. Yeah. I was trying to think of Halloween last season. It becomes a big blur. I spent a lot of time on the East Coast. Yeah. Well, Midwest / East Coast, like driving around the Chicago, Pennsylvania, Maryland, all that, Detroit and Michigan, all that kind of block of places there, Ohio, going from there. Yeah.
How much time do you spend driving?
Last Halloween season, it was a lot. This year, it's the goal is to make it much less because, it's like last season when my someone invited me to go up to see their haunt in Medford, Oregon, and I was like, yes, I can just drive there, and it's only 12 hours. So I don't need a hotel. What? You just drive, it's a straight shot. And then you're in it and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's harder than you.
So for people out there that may be tuning in for the first time, about you, kind of give us, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Philip and I run the Haunted Attraction Network. I also am the CEO of Gantom Lighting and Controls, and I am a freelance journalist. Maybe not, not right, but I'm a journalist, and I cover not just haunted attractions, but I cover theme parks. So I think my beat, I guess you would call it, is more like the seasonal events that happen at attractions. So Halloween, of course, being one of them, but I cover a lot of the seasonal temporary activations, any of that kind of stuff. So I work write for a lot of places. I just turned in, I have 3 articles due for print publications this week. One of which I just turned in, 2 of which were the first drafts were rejected. So we're working on those. But yeah, so I write for magazines, Attractions Magazine, Interpark Magazine, In Park Magazine. I have some work going out to a few other publications, National Travel Magazine, a lot of those places. So, yeah. So, and then the Haunt Space, the Haunted Attraction Network is probably what people know me from in our weekly newsletter and our videos and podcasts and all that kind of stuff.
You do the filming and stuff at some trade shows too, like the video and
Yes. Yeah, through the network, we'll, like we do vendor interviews and things like that, and trade show documentation like we did last year. Made a nice long vendor overview of a lot of the interesting vendors at Transworld. Yeah.
and a lot of your social media sites have quite the following, correct? A lot of likes and views.
Yeah, so that's interesting because I see it from a lot of different dimensions. Because as someone who pitch, like, it's like I see it from kind of every dimension. So I do run my properties, which are the network stuff. So on Facebook we have like 320,000, and on Instagram I have like 50-ish around there, 50,000, and TikTok we had 90,000, and YouTube is like 130, right? But then I also sometimes will create media for other places, like for Attractions Magazine or InPark or any of those. So I'm thinking about it in multiple dimensions. And then of course from the B2B side, sometimes we hire people like at Gantom to help with videos or to help create content, or I'll partner with someone to do that. So yeah, like it's all the content's really it's scattered all over the sphere, and depends on the medium and the audience too, right? Because I think for the Haunted Attraction Network in particular, I'm trying to focus it to be more about kind of like the local news of the haunt industry is kind of, I think, what we, especially in our newsletter and that kind of stuff, that's what we go for. But for YouTube and TikTok and those stuff, it generally is more general Halloween, just because that gets more views, right? People like,
Short clips and
yeah, they just want to see the sexy stuff, on some of
yeah.
those shorter form platforms, which is fine because that also benefits haunts. It's really all about for the haunt stuff. It's about what benefiting the community. So the reporting that we do is mostly for the community, like inter-community reporting, like what are haunted houses doing for Valentine's Day, and what does Alan Hops think about AI, and those kind of things. That's our reporting. But I think some of the videos we make are more in the general audience frame, and as a way to just promote haunts. I think is
like you said, the sexy stuff, the lights
yeah,
and the
that's right.
sounds, and like ooh, and the actors, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I follow it all. Yeah, I watch it.
I do have like 5 YouTube channels, so that I run, and then I work with other people's channels too. So like, I have one. I have one that is just like haunt education, the haunt one, which is more just inter haunt industry, and then I do have a separate one that's for the weekly Green Tagged podcast that I do with Scott about theme park trends and whatnot. So I don't know.
So you do a lot of things, and I I listen to the podcast, and I listen to Green Tagged as well,
Yep, with Scott
and I
and
read the
I.
newsletter and the email. You used to do Haunt Journal magazine, which I miss, but
We're bringing that back.
bringing it back. Okay, all right,
I don't
good,
know if I've
good.
told anybody. Oh, this might be breaking
Oh,
news.
breaking news.
Wait, do you can get a little audio cue like dun dun dun.
Yeah, I don't have one of those. I'm not fancy.
Come on, man. Uh, yeah,
Slacking.
so we used to do the Haunt
I can
Journal
edit it in.
like a long time ago, maybe 2014, 2015, around there, right? And then we transitioned it over to Seasonal Entertainment Source. And because even back then, at that time, and this, we were, as an industry, we were talking about should haunts expand into Christmas? What could they do for year-round entertainment? That kind of thing. And remember, this was like when Transworld started putting the Christmas show there, so it was a big trend. And this is like, I sound really old, but like maybe the kids are like, if you're only coming to it recently, I think you might not realize that it wasn't always that way, right? And it was like Halloween, the haunts were a linear single experience you went through, and we didn't have midways and opening year round and Christmas and escape
Yep.
rooms, and that was all later, right? So originally it was just about Haunt, so it was Haunt Journal, and then we moved it into seasonal entertainment source because we wanted to cover how haunts were expanding entertainment and going beyond just the Halloween season. And then we just ran out of budget during COVID because everything was a time. So that stopped in 2020. But I am working on it right now, actually. We are working on bringing it back. We're not going to put out this next edition until the end of the year, so it'll be after Halloween. We're going to target November for IAPA for the release. But I'm actually working. We already have one of the articles done, yeah, already, and so we're going to lay out on it. So that was the idea, is to kind of get it done early and in chunks, and to be able to talk about kind of each season and what people are doing for
So is
each
it back
season.
under Haunt Journal? Is
No,
it
it'll be
in
under
there?
seasonal entertainment source. We're going to
Okay.
keep it on the wider lens a little bit, so that because that just that
Covers
that's
more
ultimately
people.
where it's
Yeah.
going. I mean, haunts need to get out of just thinking about operating during Halloween. However you choose to do it, you can choose to do it like Alan Hops, where he gamifies the off season, and or you could choose even like how Ashley is doing it there at her haunt in Friday Nights West Virginia, where she's doing like a Cupid crawl. I mean, you could do however you want, but that's the trend, right? Is moving outside of just Halloween, and it's about training the audience to realize that this type of horror entertainment is available year round. Or you see people like the John Eslich, right, who opens up a whole separate Christmas venue for Christmas. So it's only that, it's a whole separate building, right, that's adjacent to his haunt, and his staff just walks over, and then they turn into elves, that literally, not scary elves, just like regular happy elves, right, and the Santa, and they do that whole thing. But he builds both year round, right? So that's why we're going to keep it called seasonal entertainment source, because you have this thing that it's more seasonal
Right.
about the different seasons. It's not just about Halloween. So we're gonna keep it like that. But we're already working on the articles now. I'm working on them. It's just me.
Just like you don't have enough things to do, Philip.
Well, I need to finish my book of the history of Halloween in Hong Kong. That got to get done too.
Oh, all right.
That might need to be a 2027 project, maybe. I don't know.
Just
I
roll it
haven't
off.
quite given up for it yet on this year, but the way things are going.
Do you have a ghostwriter that you can employ?
I used to. I was just having this AI discussion with Alan, right? Where back in the day, when we're talking about, like, back when we used to do the magazine originally, right? I had a transcriptionist. Like, her name was Megan, and Megan Spells, and I would send her transcripts, or I sent her the audio files, and she would transcript it, would type it out by hand. We did have two underwriters at that time, or not, junior writers, I guess you'd call them, like staff writers that would help with outlining articles. So we had like at least those three, plus an editor assistant and me, to put it together, and then the graphic designer, right? And I think AI has, now you can get pretty good transcripts from AI, and you can get help with all the junior writing tasks. Can be a lot of that you can use AI for. So you still need like the editor, and then you still need me, but it really has shrunk down the team for sure. So
This podcast episode sponsored by Scarlet Badges.
We always were looking for ideas to get those actors to take it to the next level. I really want to do something that they can use more than just a meal, or they can use more than just that a boy, that a girl. They love this stuff, but it's not really promoting a haunter. And then I sit down, Scarlet Badges comes out. That's when I realized this is amazing, because not only is it giving them an attaboy, but it's also promoting them all year round. And to promote somebody, to give somebody accolades all year round and have them be able to wear it on their shoulder with pride means a lot. This right here says this is who nailed it on this day in this year for the rest of their life, for the rest of their haunting life. And that's what I really love about this product, is you're able to give haunting to somebody an attaboy 365 days a year. And so hats off to you guys. I think this is a great product, and I wish you the best of luck, because it's awesome.
Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com.
yeah,
That's a good topic. AI. So now AI is kind of all over the place, and over the haunt season, we saw some AI images and videos come out with about haunted attractions that were open, and people were kind of debating: is this good for business? Does this make your haunt look bad? What do you think about AI using that way? I know there's a way, like like you using it. We use
Yeah,
that same way. Give me ideas,
that's right.
concept art, something you can build, something you can work with, and give you an image, and then you can go design it or something. But what do you think?
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of people about this. I had thought about, again, I, I've been trying to figure out how to eliminate some stuff because there's too much on my plate. And that was the problem with last year's Halloween. But I was going to potentially pitch a topic at Transworld about AI usage in haunts and do it as a roundtable style. But I didn't end up doing that. But instead, what I've done is I've talked to a lot of different haunters about this topic, and I've gotten a lot of different takes on it. Because I want to put together an article about it, and it's very interesting because it's very divisive. But something one of my mentors told me about it is that anything only means anything because humans give it meaning. So, in other words, like the humans are the ones that decide that the thing has meaning from the beginning. So, it kind of, and that kind of jives with my personal thoughts on it, in that now that the genie is out of the bottle, I do think it in many ways is like spell check, where you don't like, as in, you don't judge the use of the tool, you judge the human giving you the work, right? Like as a teacher, as a reader, as a consumer, as anything, you're looking at the thing, the end thing, right? Because you as a human are trying to decide if this thing is good or not, i.e. you are putting meaning on it, right? The AI doesn't
Hmm.
know. It's not a human. It actually doesn't know what's good. Like that's the key. Everybody always forgets is AI does not actually know what's good or not. It only know it's up to the human to put that interpretation. So in that way, I sort of feel like we're going to get to a point within the next few years where you're just not going to be able to tell it all. And because of that, you're just going to end up judging the thing in front of you as good or bad. And it will be then, you'll judge the book. Is this a good book or is it not? Does it really matter if it was AI? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Is it good or not? So I do think that's by proxy, what that's going to do is push up the baseline quality of everything, like of literally everything. So it's going to be like bad artwork isn't going to cut it anymore because, right, if you could just use a thing to make it, then that becomes your baseline, which means the overall baseline is like higher. So kind of reminds me, I think, a little bit like the conversation I had a few years ago with the mask makers at Transworld. We did a story about masks, and George over at Immortal was saying how they sell way more masks to cosplayers than haunters, and there's resistance in the haunter market. But from his perspective, now that the end consumers can just dress up like they own masks, their own silicone masks, like they could just, you run into silicone masks everywhere at cosplay conventions and whatever. It's like, because the baseline is lower than he thinks haunters needed to actually improve. And the ones that were still using like Dollar Tree masks, then he's like, there's no excuse for that. I think it's sort of like that, where we're gonna get in 2 years to a point where like, was this made with AI? Maybe, probably everything has some AI in it in some way capacity, but it kind of will be like, well, then it's just up to if it's good or not, and the level of what's good, I think will raise. Now, between now and then is a big that's a big thing. I think where we are right now, like pulling it back into the right now, like the February of 2026 thing instead of like 2030, right, which is where everybody is saying we're gonna crest over that hill. I think now in like this Halloween season, I think that if it is clear that you made it with only AI, then again, it's that quality thing. People are now pretty good at being able to tell if that's AI or not. And I think that if that is it, if that's all you can do, I think the haunts are going to be penalized for that. Like I should be going to your website and I should be able to see what it actually looks like at your attraction. Now, again, that comes more with the AI thing. Like, could you use AI to help edit your photos? Yes. Like, if you take a real photo of your character in their Valentine attire, and you can use AI to help you with some of the editing or help you with coming up with ideas or whatever, any of that stuff, I think that's fine. And it should make your product then look better, right? It should make the end photo look better. But even now, when I'm writing my Valentine article, this is a great example. Like, when people sent me their press releases, one, like if I could tell the press release was written by I kind of didn't use it, and I read it, and a lot of them kind of didn't make any sense. They just didn't say anything, right? They just were like, it could have been a single
Well,
sentence. We're opening
Yeah.
for Valentine's Day, but if you're like, what are you doing? immersive Valentine spooky. Okay, that doesn't mean it. It's just words. It doesn't mean anything, right? Or so you get that weird element. So I didn't use it. And then I would say most of the haunts only have AI generated Valentine content, which I didn't use either, because like I'm not gonna like this is a perfect example because me as a news person, I'm not going to write an article about your haunt if there's no real pictures of what you're actually doing for Valentine's Day. Like, and you just think about it, why would I do that? If you just turn the lens out and be like, well, why would a local news station just download our, AI spooky thing and then just repost it? Because that doesn't make them look good either, right? It makes everybody look bad in the chain. So we're not going to cover it. The
At
haunts I
that
did.
point, AI is the microplastics of intellect.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it. Yes. And yeah, it's already there. Like we're realizing now where microplastics are in everything. So it's already kind of in everything. I think it's just you're like, wow, we really shouldn't, be putting boiling water in this water bottle, and letting all the plastic melt into it and drinking it. That would be pretty bad, right? That's kind of where we are right now. Where you're like, oh, this is really AI. We're not going to use it. But when I talked to Alan about that, I did ask him. I'm like, what like, and he had a great perspective where he's like, sometimes a haunt just can't afford to do it. And if a haunt can't afford to do it, then an image is better than no image, and also if all they can do is just, they don't have a great background, they don't, they just put the character there and they don't know Photoshop, but they can take a picture of the person in front of a black backdrop and let AI, make
Fill it in.
make it look cool and then put their text on it. He's like, what's really wrong with that? I'm like, I guess nothing. You guess. I mean, yeah, it would be great if everybody had a photographer, but the reality is most haunts don't. So, gotta think about it in that way. But I do think that right now in this Halloween season, I think for me the rule is if the thing is holy and obviously AI generated, then it's not good.
Yeah, don't show me a clean cut video and pictures, and then when I get to your haunt, it's black plastic and
Yeah.
spirit props. It's like
And yeah, that's right. And I think that
keep it the
now,
same.
and what I would do if someone's doing that, I would flip it on them and say, now again, back to the tool use. Like at this point, go take a picture of your haunt, like with your cell phone, and then just
Yeah.
and
Clean
then
it up.
clean it up, right? And or the same thing as Alan said, take a picture of the character and then just you can have it change the background, but at least it's the character that you're going to see at the haunt, or at least, I mean, so I think I would flip it on people and say now there's really no excuse to do a better job. And even to the press releases, who, what, when, where, why. Okay, if that's not in your press release and you have AI to help you, God, there's no helping you. That's and like so many of them that I got where I like, this doesn't make any sense. Like the words don't say anything at all. And then I can email them back and say, can you tell me what's actually happening at your haunt? What do
So
you actually...
copywriters aren't extinct yet. So
Oh goodness, no. No.
yeah.
No, but on the flip side, I do think there's no excuse now. Again, we're talking about this idea of scaffolding, right? Of upskilling slowly, yourself, because ultimately AI is also right now the AI that I think we're talking about, which would be the LLM models, which would be ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini. Those things right now are really only as good as you are, because it's back to that thing where if you don't know what good writing is, you don't know that it's giving you bad writing because you can't tell. And so it scales with you, with your skills, right? So, but at the end of the day, though, I still think there's no excuse now at this point, because you can just tell it, here's what I'm doing at my haunt, and when we're opening, here's my ticket page, write me a press release. And it should be able to get you like 90% of the way there, right? And then you just correct it or add in details. So now if someone's like, I don't have time for a press release, or I don't have time to take a photo or this or that, then it's really like, but I don't know what you're doing with your time, because this should take you like 30 minutes total to do your photos and your the whole marketing kit, basically.
Well,
So
like do the backdrop things. What I recommend is, okay, maybe you can't do your whole haunt that way, but pick out 3 or 4 scenes that you would just go 100% on, and then use those scenes for all your videos and all your photos. And then, then you're done. Hell, you can choose one good scene and light it differently and use different, but, well, that's kind of, I know it's been all over because I posted one in the Hunters Toolbox group about AI, and it was don't use it, and
Yeah, I know.
there was people that do use it for the right things, but I know the examples. There was
I just
some
think,
haunts that used it, inappropriately
of
over the haunt
course,
season. I was like,
I saw that everywhere
yeah.
this haunt season. Like, and it does make me not want to go. Like,
Do you
I'm
think
sorry.
the general audience cares, or
Oh
you
yeah.
think it's okay?
I think especially who we target,
Right.
because we're targeting younger audience, and it's it's easier for younger people to spot AI content,
Hmm.
than it is for older people. And so that's our target market. And so I just think that's
I'm already getting tired of AI generated videos, and
yes.
I've heard conversations where people are going to get tired of AI and they're going to want real experiences, real haunted
Yeah, so
attractions, theater, real music, because
oh,
you
but
know,
besides that, also on the marketing side, Meta has already said for Instagram and Facebook, they have already said that the algorithm will be prioritizing content that is obviously real instead of AI content. They've already said that. So like going
yeah,
into haunt season, like so it's really interesting because I do think we're going to see a little bit of a swing back where when I was starting out, like I think back in the day, right, you were like trying to make a like really great cinematic commercial, and you it would like if it looked really polished, then it was like, oh, this is a high quality haunt, right? But now it's like if it looks overly polished, it's people are thinking it's probably AI. And so
hmm,
it's almost like the videos that are clearly shot on a phone that are not edited, that are because they're real, where you're just walking around and showing your rooms. That's probably a better bet now because it's obvious it's not AI. But so we don't know exactly, you know, Meta, they talked about it, but there's also some of the people who wrote an essay about it. So it's out there. We don't know if they're actively favoring it, like if they're actively rewriting the algorithm to favor real content or not. We don't know that, or if that's just user preference or a trend they've noticed. But it's out there, even in marketing. Like it's out there. So it's not just like physical experiences. It's like also like the marketing content that you are creating. If it looks like it could be AI, people will, it's going to trigger
well,
there.
people crave that stuff now with the influencers that are just in their car,
Yeah,
talking on the
that's right.
phone or walking around. So they
That's
want,
right. That's right.
they want that
Yeah.
being authentic, right?
That's right. Yeah, the
But
authentic content. Yeah. I mean, it's just you trust the person a lot more, I think. And I think if you can show your haunt in an authentic way, that's going to be what we're trying to do this year, at least from a
I got to
marketing.
ask you because Craig wants to know about TikTok. So what have you
Yeah,
changed differently on TikTok?
I deleted my TikTok for now,
Okay.
off my phone. I left the account there, but I deleted it for now. So the background on TikTok is recently the sale was completed, right? So it's gone over to Oracle and they're doing migrations or whatever. The interesting thing is that China still has access to the data. So that's still so it's kind of like if that was your concern, if you as a business or whatever, if that was your concern, that's still a concern. So that hasn't been resolved. But also because of the migration, there's been a lot of like weird issues, right? Like, and I think that's what like Tyler and some of the other marketing people were talking about. Because I was trying to post my regular videos on our TikTok and all of them were getting declined for content violation or whatever. And so it's just that because they're migrating over. And what I understand is they're trying to retrain the algorithm, uh, because they didn't get the rights to the algorithm, so they're trying to retrain it. So the algorithm's supposedly going to change, but it'll be less good. And right now, because of the migration, there's a bunch of errors in it. So like I think, and plus also the way they're collecting your data, they're collecting a lot more, and it's going to Oracle. So basically, I was like, I'm not going to leave this on my phone while you guys are figuring it out. Right? I'm going to wait until everything like settles, and then like they're going to put out new content guidelines, or they're going to figure out their ad thing or whatever. But like I think right now you need to just let it settle because it's too much. Like it's, to my opinion, it's wasted energy right now to be trying to follow what they're doing rather than just waiting until they're like, okay, we fixed all the bugs, everything is good. Here's our new content policy, here's our new advertising thing, whatever. I'm just gonna wait for that. And in the meantime, though, I'm not gonna like let it sit on my phone and collect a bunch of data because it was taking up maybe 10 gigs. There's no reason. I don't even know why. I
Yeah.
mean, it was crazy amount of data. I'm like, oh my God. So that's just my own sanity. I'm moving it off my phone just for that reason. But um, I would say for the haunters though, here's the thing, because they're seeing plummeting numbers. Like the TikTok installations are skyrocketing right now. So I think for hunters, it's a holding pattern, right? It's like watch, kind of keep it in the back of your mind as like what's going to go on with this, and then check in a few months later and see, have people returned to it? Is it still getting the daily users that it used to? What did demographics shift at all? And then did they fix these content issues? Because everything we post, like horror related, was like ultra banned. So we're just waiting. Like, are they going to fix all these content things? Are they going to bring back the advertising for this type of stuff? And then are the people we're actually trying to target actually going to still be using it? Or did they move somewhere else? And where did they move? And I'm telling you right now, Instagram is going to be more important. Like for because of these reasons, I think YouTube Shorts and Instagram is I think where you should be focusing more for now until we figure out what actually happened. Like the dust has to settle at TikTok. Because then if they fix all the stuff and everything does, then it's still you're still waiting to see if the users you're trying to target are still using it.
Right.
That's the other thing. Because sometimes, when there's a bunch of errors in an app, people leave it. So how much are they going to shed and how much are they going to regain? All that stuff we're still trying to figure out.
Have you checked out HauntersToolbox.com yet? It's free to join and full of useful information to help you start and grow your own haunted attraction business. All the information on HauntersToolbox.com is created by the pros who do it. We have a library with ebooks and presentations on topics like creating an employee handbook, starting a business plan, or the best types of lights to use at your haunt, plus a lot more. You get instant access to the library plus free video masterclasses by the experts in the haunt industry. Classes like Alan Hops from Dark Hour Haunted House teaching scare acting, or Philip Hernandez from the Haunted Attraction Network teaching marketing and social media, or Leonard Pickle from Hauntpreneurs teaching haunt design and construction. I even got a few masterclasses in there as well. You don't have to do it alone. Let us help you. We also host monthly live masterclasses to steer you in the right direction so you don't get lost. Once you become a member, you also get instant updates on our next masterclass in your email so you don't miss the next one. And if you need more one-on-one help, there is an option for that as well. I would be honored to help you get your attraction started or help you grow your current one. I know what it takes. Let's talk. If you're interested, you want to start and grow your haunted attraction, go check out HauntersToolbox.com. Don't be scared. Is the targeting and the ad buy stuff better on Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, it is.
Especially
Yeah,
you can
just
target
because of the data.
locally and
Yeah. Well, you can do
I
everything.
don't know much about TikTok, so I've never
Well, just because it's
downloaded
all
it. So.
everything is integrated with Meta. So and also Meta is investing heavily in AI to supercharge their ad serving, right? So I think right now it's a better bet because they have the whole ecosystem, right? They have WhatsApp, like Meta has WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook, right? They have a whole ecosystem. So even if they know so much about the users, I think that makes your targeting a lot easier on there. Plus the new AI features they're dropping. Plus they're also dropping some new features that TikTok had, like the ability to put links directly in Reels. So if you have like a reel going crazy, you can put a link in there. I mean, they're like trying to take advantage of this TikTok nonsense. Clearly, to try and get in there. Yeah,
straight to buy a ticket. Buy a ticket.
Yes,
Click.
that's right.
Right
that's
there.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
so if you had three places to spend your marketing money on in this haunt season, where would you spend it at?
That's hard because I still think a haunt really needs to look at their paid advertising, right? And I don't really do that right now. I'm mostly on the organic side, so like PR, influencers, that kind of stuff. So I think again, you do need to have a direct budget. I would say for most haunts, they should be looking at doing that direct targeting on social and do your AdWords, fine, your Google searches because Google is not dead. Actually, their searches are increasing now with the Gemini integration. So they've completely flipped that narrative. So search is still important. Doing targeting through social is still important, but I don't do that personally. Like I'm not an expert in those items, but I would say those are still very important. And then you have your influencers, which I think are going to become more important because of the trust crisis that everything is creating. So I do think still having the influencers and having some budget allocated to that, where they're making a real piece of content at your attraction and they have access to an audience that trusts them. I still think that's going to be even more critical this year because of the whole AI trust apocalypse thing.
Well, George was talking about your media VIP night idea that you've talked about on our thing before. He gets great coverage in all media, traditional and online. So, would you talk a little bit about the media night and how that works? How do you set that up?
Yeah, I think I've done it a lot of different ways for different haunts. I think no matter what, no matter the size of your haunt, like no matter how big your haunt is, you should be doing a media night. And it's because it gives not really a deadline, but it gives like a time frame for the media, which kind of helps you with the media, right? Because I've tried it where we haven't done it and you don't get as much coverage just because even if they don't attend, it's a date that's like in there. And so it kind of feels like a deadline in a way. So I think you need to do one regardless. I think you need to think about it's like you should have a media plan for your haunt. So before you even make your media, like you should do a media night no matter what. Okay, that's A. But B, before you even get to that point, you should have a media plan for your haunt. By that I mean talking with your creative team and whatever when it comes to filming and it comes to all that kind of stuff. Because that's going to come up in the media night and you're going to get asked it throughout the season. So you
Film
need
early. Film early.
yeah, or just be prepared, right? A lot of, I've done haunts all over like literally I worked with places as big as Hershey Park to down home haunts and even, like Hush in Detroit and every level in between. So that's up to, honestly, it's like up to the haunt. You just have to understand who you're inviting to that media night and what they want. And like because I think that the term media has gotten really loose, recently the last few years,
Does
right?
that include
So
influencers too? But influencers be on
yes,
media night? Okay.
yeah. But again, that's back to your media plan, right? You really need to think about what these people want, right? If they are traditional media, a lot of traditional media don't really like if you're local TV news or that, they probably don't have someone that can come out to your haunt. So you might think about having a B-roll kit ready for them that you can just give them, and maybe they could just play it during one of the morning shows, and then the host can just yammer about it for 30 seconds. I don't know. You really got to think about the list you're putting together. Okay, so you have your local media, radio. What are they going to want? Local TV. What are they going to want? Are you going to have time to do in studio appearances if you get that or not? Are you going to do radio spots? Do you have, what materials do you have? So I would you're thinking of all this, right? You're making your media plan. What do we want to push? What are we going to do? Are we going to allow filming? Are we not? All this kind of stuff. And then you are building your media list of people, right? And you have your traditional people, you have your newspapers, you have your traditional, all those people, newspapers and blogs and all those website people are going to need press releases and they're going to need story pitches. The commercial news, classic news or whatever, they're going to need a B-roll kit, like like a 30 to 90 second of just B-roll that has exterior and kind of music and non-music, vertical and horizontal, no
Make sure it has
watermarks, no
all your
anything.
information in there, date,
Yep. Yeah,
time,
I can show you examples of all this,
website.
but yeah, basically it's just a kit they could drop in for broadcasting and all
Yeah.
that, and they need rights to do that, all that. You gotta have all that ready for them. Okay, then you move into like your influencers, and then even in your influencer sphere, they're all different, right? Because you have some influencers that only show up if you pay them. Then you have some where they only make money if they can make an 8 minute or longer YouTube video, right, of your attraction. So they're going to want to film, right? And then you have some that will just bring friends and they'll make a reel for you, but they just want tickets and to just hang out. I mean, you have got to really think about what each one wants and the spectrum of here, and that way you can make sure that you're giving each of them what they need. But yes, that
Do
probably
you-
was too much information. Ask
do
me
you-
follow-up questions.
Do you say so? So you send an invitation out, like a press release
Yep.
and a link to photos, videos. What kind of stuff is there food when they get there? Or is there like a VIP experience that they get? What kind of stuff do they get?
Okay, that goes back to thinking about your media plan
And what they
and
want.
really like what they want and also what your haunt can do, right? Because some haunts can't do filming, some can do VIP, some can't, blah blah, all this back and forth. It really depends on what you can do. I always encourage you to give as much to your media as you can. The haunt always pushes back by saying, why would we give them a VIP ticket or give them food or whatever? It's so expensive. To which I then reply, then why did you invite them? Where it's kind of like,
To me,
then
it's a
that goes-
trade-off. It's kind of like
That's
you're
right.
bartering. It's like,
so then it goes back to so I'll give you a rough budget, right? So for someone in the 10,000 follower range on just one channel, say 10,000 on Instagram, you should be paying them maybe at least $150 to $300 for one reel. So if you just back that, if you get them a VIP ticket, how much is that? Like probably not 150. I'm not sure very many haunts charge that much for their VIP tickets. So then you're like, well, let's throw in some chicken strips or something. You just got to like back it out and be like, are we giving them enough perceived value?
right.
And then if you don't think it's worth it, then take them off the list. Like you're better at making a list of 10 people in your area that you think will really, really be great coverage and just pursuing them, like courting them more and being really, really happy about it than you are like, let's invite everybody, and then you're gonna like resent them. I mean, like, and then this whole thing about requiring them to, you can't require them. Like, you can't unless you're paying them. This is my stance. Unless you're paying them, you can't require them to post. You just have to let the experience itself be so good that they want to talk about it.
Right.
That's
So you better be you better be good.
so like, and then you get into like what you can do for them on the night. That really depends on the haunt's capacity and also on the media, right? Like, but a good rule of thumb is if you're not giving them so maybe a good example is to just give you an example. So when I went to cover the opening of Netflix House in Dallas, their media team did an excellent job. So did the Hershey Park team for Dark Knights, but in both cases they did like an excellent job where the day of the media or the day before, they give you a kit, and the kit is like, here's all the facts about everything, and also here's B-roll. And inside the B-roll is like clips of like the team or the executive producers who are just giving the talking points, and TV can grab that, whatever. So you have a drone B-roll shot, you have B-roll of inside, you have the Netflix executive talking about whatever, giving the talking points. And then you have photos of each area and of the food. And then you have a full information kit, menus, prices, everything it's offering, everything. So all that is delivered to the media. Okay. So like, we don't got to do any of that. So then what you can do is you can book like appointments for the Netflix executive, right? Which I did. And they record it for you. And you give in like 10 minutes and you sit down and you do the interview and they record it for you. And then they drop it to you, right? So you have, they control then the production value and the narrative, right? It's not up to like me bringing my cell phone or whatever nonsense or anything. It's a nice version. You get your questions. Questions have to be pre-submitted. It's done. It's great. Do that. And then from there, it's really just, since you already have everything ahead of time, all the data, you're really just enjoying the experience / like asking anything additional that you need to clarify on for whatever story, that you're working on. So Hershey Park always does something very similar where they send you all the facts and all the information, and then they make their creative leads available for interviews, and then they book appointments with you and allow you to do that. They don't allow any filming though there unless you have an escort, and you have to do appointments for that and figure that out. So that's what I mean, where I'm like, each haunt kind of, depending on what the abilities are, they do it a little differently.
So pick out what guidelines you want to work within
Yeah.
and set that. If you don't want them to see certain parts of the house, then
That's right.
you could
That's right.
run them out of different exits. Say, no, we don't, that's not finished back there.
Yeah.
We'll
And
we'll
so
give you the first 10 minutes and then you can,
that's right. When I did
or
it for Hush, that's exactly what I did. So we did this last year at Hush, what we did is I put together a kit that had everything that I could get, much smaller, obviously, than Netflix House and all these big places. So they had the press release, they had details on what all the houses were and all the ticket options. They had the food. There was photos of each food item that we were selling, nice photos. There were photos of real photos of each attraction and each bar. It's like real photos of everything, uh, descriptions, prices, all of that. There was also a 60-second made for TV video, horizontal video that they could just drop into a newscast. There's also a vertical version. And then there was links to old coverage about that goes into Cody's history and all that, the owner's history and all that. So all that I delivered to them before they showed up. And then when they arrived, I gave them a media credential that had a QR code that also linked to that same thing. So even if they were there and they didn't want to take a picture of the food or whatever, they could just download the thing and share it to their stories in real time. So they had everything they needed. When they just arrived, they had everything they needed. Okay. Then we did a reception for them. It was catered reception. We had a table, a display table when they walked in for the reception. The reception was 30 minutes. The display table had all the food that we had for this year for the haunt, and then it had little placards so they could take pictures of it and do that. And then they had a separate from the nice table, there was a sample table, right? That just had like the plastic cups and the sample sizes of shots and all that kind of stuff. So they ate first, and then we took them over to the main stage in our midway where we gave them a presentation, a short version of all of our main shows back to back. So normally that would take a whole night, where you would have the different shows perform on the stage. They would go through all their stuff. We did a shortened version. They did it very quickly. And we had an MC that said what the title of the thing is. Like, okay, here's our fire dancers. This is normally, a 10-minute show or whatever. We're going to show you 3 minutes of it. Boom, do that. Here's our performer. He does this. Here's our ballerina. She does this. Here's our aerialist. They do this. Blah, 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 blah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done, right? So already, before they've gone into the haunt, they have everything they need to write their stories for any medium. They have samples of the food that they've gotten to taste, and they got to see the food if they want to take pictures and make stories, and they've seen all the entertainment. From there, I only let people who had appointments film, and I filmed them. We didn't let any cameras in, and we only let them film in the first 2 segments of the haunt and not the finale, because the finale was new and we didn't want it ruined, like the surprise ruined. So I filmed it to them. I filmed them. And then afterwards, I sent them the footage that night immediately. So they had everything. And then what that also let me do then is when we were filming them, I got their permission to use it. So even if the media didn't use it, we could still turn it into a reel and then like tag them and added them as a collaborator. So we had 5 appointments. So I had 5 videos of that. So I had 5 videos of media getting scared and jumping. So then I could repurpose that content. They could use it for their content, whatever. So that's what we did for our media night. We gave them everything. And then if someone couldn't go to the media night, I had a backup plan where they got VIP tickets and they could bring their friends and whatever. And we still had that media kit they could use. So that's how we did it. And that was a kind of like a good middle ground, because we still got to feed them and give them stuff and they got all the information, but they didn't film the entire haunt, and we didn't let them film after that date. So that was kind of like the cutoff. So unless there was a big celebrity, which we did have 3 big celebrities last year, and with the celebrities, I made appointments and we actually like moved the start time of the haunt, and we had to do a lot to accommodate them. But that was the exception. But we didn't allow anybody else to film, because that was like it. Like, this isn't, if you want to get a filmed thing, this is the night.
Were you allowed to film the celebrities?
Yeah, so yes, because we kept it the same deal where I was doing the filming, but it ended up where we could only use one after the fact without, so even though we filmed it, we couldn't use all of them basically for our own purposes. It was only one that we could use.
Okay.
And that was Angry Grandma. So we filmed Angry Grandma, and they're okay with us using it. Yeah.
Well, And a different, it's kind of media related. We did radio ads our first year, and the DJ came out. And they, of course, it's like, $500 spot. They come. He wasn't expecting to go through the haunt, but we asked him to go through the haunt, and he went through the haunt. So the whole thing. I mean, our haunt was probably 20 minutes long, so he would film a little bit, then break, and then come back, and then he'd be stuck in the haunt. And he said, and then then we got to keep the audio because I asked him for permission to use that, so it kept the audio of him getting scared. So I ran that and other different ads.
Yep.
So
That's right.
scary enough for 96.7, and
Yep.
it's
Yep.
so kind of played that. So yeah, repurpose everything you can.
I think Scarlet badges are one of the smartest things I've seen in the industry in a really long time. Scarlet badges are basically either pins or embroidered patches, kind of like merit badges, as they are, somewhat named after, from Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Brownies, and where after you've accomplished something, you can wear the brag tag of the embroidered patch. Some haunts put them on jackets, some put them on t-shirts, some put them on, with the pins, I've seen them put them on lanyards. But the neat thing about them is they are very specific in what they are rewarding. And they're haunt-based images that reflect what's being rewarded. It's retention, it is bringing people back, and it's actually giving your haunters, your haunt performers, the ability to share that they are haunt performers. And, oh really, you're a scare actor. Where do you do that? And then they will insert the name of your haunt right there. So it's also marketing. I've always been a big fan of Scarlet badges. I think they're great. So check them out, scarletbadges.com. No, that is not a paid advertisement. That is just my recommendation. I think it's really cool.
ScottSwinson.com.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about like showing the authentic moments of your haunt. I mean, like if you can do the media night and then also capture these moments, these real moments of people having fun, then that also is your content. That's your organic content. And then you also, if it's people your locals recognize, that's even better, and
Social proof.
that's right, social proof. And that's the thing where I'm like, you don't have to lie about it. You don't have to like use it. I mean, you could just, and it doesn't have to be even this complicated, right? If you know that there's some local celebrities in your area that you can get, and I don't even mean like real, I mean like a city council person or the mayor or like the football team or what. I mean, you can think outside the box a little bit and you can say, can we record you in exchange for these tickets and whatever. It doesn't have to be, where you're pitching influencers. It can be, you can scale this,
Some local, yeah.
to do it. And then
people.
and you just think about it as this is your time to gather marketing content. So you're repurposing it. So if that makes the haunt feel better, because I know the haunts are always like, oh, it's too expensive. And I'm like, how many animatronics did you buy at Transworld this year again? Remind me.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've heard.
Daryl, is there any questions out there you want to address while we're talking about social media and
No, not off the top of my head. I think you guys have touched on pretty much everything. What's hot, what's not. And hopefully that gives some insight to the folks. Go ahead and read in the chats after this. George Luco, who is from a haunt in Saskatchewan, Canada, has linked to his media night and explained a bunch of things that kind of back up what Philip has been discussing. And you get to see somebody who's actually using this that's in our chat. So folks, go ahead and take a look at that after the fact. But also continue to post your questions in our chat so that we have something to talk about with Philip, because otherwise he will just wander aimlessly.
That's true. I'm looking at what are the comments.
how early should you send out the invites to your media night? Or does that just depend on whenever you're ready, I guess? I would say a couple months, but I don't know.
So I think that also really does depend on your local market, right? I think busier markets, earlier is better. So we should break this up and think about this. Like, first, if there are people that you are like really trying to get at your haunt, I think that it's never too early. Right.
Yeah.
So for example, well, when I was at IAPA this past year, like there were like the Hershey Park team was already trying to plan with me for this coming in. We actually just had an email earlier today about our plans for covering for the media for there at Hershey Park. So like it's so I think that part of it, it's like if there are some people that you really really want to work with or some partnerships you really want to do, it's never too early. If it's just cold calling and general items, if you're in a smaller market, you could probably wait till closer. If you're in a busier market, earlier is better because the busier markets, right, people fill up, their calendars fill up. And generally, I think the sort of the loose kind of rule for a lot of these uh, places, like with traditional media, if they don't have someone, a local reporter on the beat, they're not going to come anyway. Like, there's it's kind of not going to matter if they don't have someone locally that can go,
Or
you
that
know,
wants to go, like, oh yeah, I
yeah,
want to go to haunted
that's
house. Let's
right.
go
Then
check
they're
it
just
out.
it's kind of like not going to happen. But
Right.
then when it's the influencers or any of those people, um, I think a lot of them, like in my area in SoCal, there's a lot of them where like as long as there's food involved and you tell them, they'll just pencil it in. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, that they already commit to it or whatever. If you're in a busier area and you are a smaller haunt, you just got to consider that you don't want to fight with a bigger show. So I think about some of these big areas like here in SoCal, Southern California, there's Halloween Horror Nights, there's Not Scary Farm, there's Six Flags Magic Mountain. They coordinate so that they don't overlap on the same night because that would be bad because then you're making people choose. So I would think places in like Philadelphia, you have like Eastern State Penitentiary, Field of Screams, Hershey. I mean, these places are all pretty big. You just want to make sure you're not like fighting with
Right.
somebody who's in your and like, because you want to make sure that you're kind of trying to
And make sure
collaborate
you're
on
not
times.
competing against another event too that the media
That's right.
might be at. Maybe not a haunted attraction, but it could be a
That's
big
right.
football game or something, or I
That's
don't
right.
know.
That's right.
But
Yeah, so it is actually a weird middle ground where it's like, you don't want to compete with any, like you want it to be a time where people can go, where, the families have time off or the people, if it's not their full-time job, that they have time, whatever. But then you also don't want to compete with other big events. It's it's
yeah,
like that weird kind of like middle ground.
especially if it's first year
Hmm.
haunt. First year haunt, it's hard to get
Yeah.
people there anyway. So,
Yeah. That's
um,
right. Yeah.
but if it's another world, like, oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Um, so speaking of, we were talking about off-season events earlier. I know you've done a lot of things covering Valentine's Day haunts, and what kind of things are you seeing? I know it seems that off-season events are getting more and more, especially with permanent locations. People are trying to fill up their year with different Friday 13th attractions, Valentine's Day. Um, you think this is going to keep on going? It's just going to get
Yeah.
more and
So
more events added, and
I think this year was, I don't want to call it the exception, but this year was like the year. If you were going to try Valentine's Day at your haunt, this is the year
is it
because
Friday
of Friday the
13th?
13th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this was probably the best time for any haunt that was considering it to test it and to see what the local mood is for it. And it's like fascinating how this has evolved since even since the pandemic, where I think haunts now are doing a better job of understanding that you need to get out of the Halloween only type of mindset, right? So I guess what I mean by that is like I think like back in the day, it's like people would open for Krampus, Christmas was the top one, and then Valentine's has always been popular, but they would open Valentine's and it was like, we're just gonna turn the lights off. Oh, or they would do something where it kind of was basically just what they were doing at Halloween,
Hmm.
but it was just a different time. And I think there are still haunts that are doing that, but I think you're going to see that phase out. And I think the reason is because I think haunts are coming to realize like if they can get out of that Halloween mold and be more general horror or just even change the genre entirely, to become more of like a family entertainment center or something that's just a different genre, like an escape room or a different genre, then you can justify more year-round operations, right? Which is the goal. So I think that is the trend I'm seeing most is haunters trying to experiment with something that is not the same thing that they do for Halloween.
Since I'm assuming they're probably smaller crowds,
Yes.
so they could probably do more of a
Yep.
dialogue type of story,
There's a
or
bunch of
a,
stuff.
where
Yeah.
they can host it, where someone actually hosts
Yep.
you through the whole interaction. You can change your story up. Maybe you don't have to change your scenes. Maybe you can change your lighting. Maybe you can do something different, right?
You see haunters taking every sort of approach, right? So, yes, there is still the blackout approach, but then you see some, I think Horrorland Miami comes to mind. Not to pick on them, but just because they did email me a press release and I was like, there are no photos or anything. There's nothing here. Give me more information. And then they did kindly. And so I was able to talk more about it. But like Horrorland Miami, right? They're at a water park in Miami and they are building new attractions. So they're investing a lot of money in building these Valentine's themed attractions and Valentine's themed costumes and doing the whole like reskin. And they're hoping for it to be a thing that they reuse multiple years and for multiple weekends. So there's that approach, which is kind of like the Krampus thing. But then you see Alan Hobbs, of course, who's always innovating, right? He is doing a much more interactive version of his old Valentine show, and it borrows elements from his Dead by Dark Hour, which was his usual Friday the 13th show. So basically, it's much more interactive. You have a glow stick, and you're going through the haunt, and he has these special icon creature characters that kind of like have like their eyes are covered by like little growth, like kind of like it's like kind of like bat things with like eyes are covered, so like monstrous things. Anyway, the idea here is that couples go in together. They have one glow stick, okay? So you need the glow stick to see, but if the glow stick is lit, the monsters can find you. And if it's hidden, if protect the glow stick, you can't see, but also the monsters can't find you. So it's this dynamic he's playing with to see if people will choose to sacrifice themselves for their spouse, where they're like trying to let them escape and draw the attention of the monster over here, or if how they're going to try and navigate through in that situation. But it's this dynamic where there's a little bit of light so you can still see the scenic, but there's new characters, but it's a whole different thing because it's more of a game, a kind of like a more of that type of escape experience
Kind
than
of
it is.
choose your own adventure
Yeah,
choice.
and
Like,
there's dynamics, highly trained actors, dynamics, the interplay between them. There's that. So there's that way, which is an entirely different offering. That's not really a haunted house at all, really. Not at all what they do for Halloween, right? Then there's a whole nother direction, which is what Ashley Long is doing over at Friday Nights West Virginia, where basically she's doing like a love kills thing. So she has also reskinned her rooms and they're all a different take on love. So there's like evil cupids and there's like there's different scenes. And in each one it's the whole thing where they try and get a sticker on you, and if you get sticker on you that means that like the love has killed you in that scene, right? You get killed, right? So that kind of a thing. There's that interactive component, but she's also paired it with a kind of like with a cocktail type of hidden bar experience that also has a like a candy chocolate component. So it kind of wraps all these things together. So there's alcohol and hidden bars with Valentine candies, and there's also Valentine's characters and Valentine's themes and also interactive elements. So it's a whole different type of conglomerate, mush all these things together. And she is up at a ski resort, and so she's hoping to capture foot traffic from the people that are there skiing and spending the night there. So she's hoping to capture those people in. So I think there's a lot more examples that we've been tracking a lot of this, but you can see where like the haunts are just trying a lot of different things. And a lot of them are things that they are not doing during the Halloween season. And I think that's the trend. I think that's also smart because you're not necessarily cannibalizing the experience. You are giving a different experience and you're allowing your customers to come back and maybe get new customers and just trying new things. But it kind of gets you out of that Halloween only mode where you're doing more entertainment writ large. So I think something needs to change in order to make haunts are still not that viable, right? I mean, we all know, okay, we all know. It's just it doesn't work. I'm sorry. It just doesn't it works for us.
The margins are thin.
The margins are too thin.
Yeah.
It works for a small amount of people where it's their full-time job and they have a full staff. That's pretty rare. Okay, so something I think needs to change. And actually, I'm writing an article about Jason Egan and his career evolution over in Las Vegas, right? And so Jason, this is a whole separate story time, but it's okay. We're going to go on this little tangent here to illustrate my point. So Jason, when he was 22, moved to Las Vegas after making like 40,000 on crypto, and he just moves with like $40,000 over to Vegas, and he's like, because all they have is trailer haunts, and I think there's a market here for like a good haunt, right? So he saves up, takes that 40, and then he works as a MGM valet, and he like saves up all this money, and he opens up a haunt at a strip mall. And so he finally has a location, all this, and then who comes by but Circus Circus, and they say, we want you at our event. And that is how Fright Dome is born, right? And Fright Dome is like, we all have heard of Fright Dome. 15 years they ran it. He did the first Five Nights at Freddy's thing. He did Halloween. He worked with all these crazy, it got crazy. But then when they were making the lease, they were like, we're just not going to extend your lease. And so instead of opening a new haunt, he was already thinking about this thing we're talking about right now, which is like, it's even there in Vegas and this whole thing, it's too hard to, or it's just not ideal to be trying to make all your revenue in 1 month. Like that's crazy, right? And so he was already having that, and then the lease wasn't renewing. So he, instead of going to the haunt direction, he went to basically make a haunted house, but formatted like an escape room. And that's when he opened the first Blair Witch Escape, and then he followed it up with the Saw Escape Room, and then he just recently opened Escape It Chapters 1 and Chapter 2. And with each one got more ambitious. And so Escape It, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, they're two separate escape experiences. Each is 90 minutes long and 16 rooms with actors. And each room has sequences and effects and DMX control. And you're literally going into the Nightbald house. You're going below the sewers. You're being chased by characters from the movie. And so he got the licenses, and he's working directly with the studios and doing all that. So you can see even in his progression where he's like, take what you know as a haunted house person. Like, I know how to make sets. I know how to train actors. I know how to do all these things, but make it a more economical business model where he's like, now people will pay more money per person to have a better experience, but also it can operate year round. I don't have to like make all my money in 1 month, right? So now, and that was a few years ago where he has been 5 like horror experiences all running year round in Vegas, right? And then his most recent pivot is changing entirely. He got the license with John Wick and with Lionsgate, and so he built the first John Wick experience in Vegas, which just this year received a Thea Award for Outstanding Attraction from the Theme Entertainment Association, which is the highest honor in the theme park world. And that experience, again, built on literally everything that he has learned. It's a crazy escape slash there's 2 bars. The Continental is built to scale from the movie. You go into the Continental, you can purchase the drinks that John Wick buys. Like, it's crazy, right? The detail. But it's an hour-long escape experience where you have a bounty on your head and you have to get out, and he's all these same things, right? And again, it's like he's like, you kind of need to diversify. You need to think about what you're doing that's not just horror and how you can move out of that. So back to what I was saying. This story, I think his trajectory kind of illustrates all these points, right? Which is, I think this is where the trend is going. And I think that's the only sustainable way, in my opinion, is like, how do you think about doing more than just stuff for Halloween? Like, how can you go beyond that? And in Jason's case, you had the escape experiences and that whole stuff, and then it transformed into going into the action genre instead. But for the individual haunter, it could be something like with Alan Hopp's and opening up every month for his Dead by Dark Hour games, or for stuff that Ashley is doing. I mean, you see it all everywhere. So that was a really long story. Anyway, read my article about Jason.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that about him. So, well, that's why a lot of haunts team up with like laser tag people and stadiums and tearing the corn. They have a whole pumpkin patch thing, and they do stuff year round. So it's like, if your setup is already integrated like that, that's a plus. But yeah, that's you got to market, you got to make your money all in a couple of months. It's like
Yeah,
um, that's the model that fails because
that does. Yeah, it just it
it,
doesn't.
you have to do
And the
more stuff.
scaling, I mean, we've all that we've lit. I did it and I stopped because it was too crazy. Like Brian, Daryl, we were all in the middle of it. You know what it's like. You're having to hire all the staff. You're all your the cash flow. It's really hard because the cash flow, hiring people. Sometimes your ticket money doesn't come in till later. Chargebacks. I mean, it's getting funding. It's like not only are the margins thin, but there's all that drama with your managing cash flow and managing staff and getting it in and out. And it's like, the
If you
first
do,
step is always a permanent space. That's always step one for a haunted.
yeah.
Get a permanent space. And I
Hmm.
think then from there, it's going to become what can you do with it? And I think that we're seeing a lot of progress. 'Cause I don't know, is it just me or like maybe I was not paying attention, but I think 10 years ago, we were not doing all this crazy stuff. It was like,
No, it was like you said,
yeah,
Krampus and maybe an Easter event or,
yeah,
or it was like you hear two or three. Now I listen to your podcast. I'm like, holy
yeah.
shit, how many we got like 50 Valentine's Day haunts open,
There's
It's like,
way more. There's way over 100, like
100, yeah.
nationwide. And there's a lot, but then we weren't seeing all this experimentation, all
Right.
these horror events and stickers and interactivity and bar crawls and themed food. And it's like that. I feel like
Hmm.
all this is
Midways are a big thing.
yeah,
They've come a long way in the
that's
last,
right.
10 years. So,
Yeah, because perceived value, right? In order to increase your per cap, they have to spend longer there
which
and be
helps
able
your
to do.
revenue. Yeah. Because you have
Yeah.
more things for people to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it just feels like overall the haunts are moving way more towards the theme park models or the family entertainment center model, right? Where you're thinking of it more as a whole, as an evening and more of a thing rather than we're just paying a ticket price to go through a single experience for a few minutes and then we're done. That's
Yeah, and the ones that have been here long enough have already they started way back in the day.
yeah,
Some of them were home haunts. Some of them started with just volunteers and worked their way up to what they are now.
yeah.
And I know there's many different ways to do it. And there's still some out there that do seasonal events and they do make a profit.
Well,
But they
but
they
yeah, but
probably
like
have
Eslinch, yeah.
right. They
Well, I
probably
mean,
have a lean crew.
yeah.
Uh, the way you design your haunt, if you can design your haunt where you can get three different scares out of one person, you don't need a very big crew either. So it'll cut your labor cost down because you're not using as many people. So
Yeah. And then stuff like what Eslich is doing, that's a good example, right? Like I mentioned before, like having a whole separate building for his
for his
Christmas
Christmas stuff.
and then being able to employ people longer because you have two big shows they're building year round, right? And then
Hmm.
you have double the amount of time to make up your revenue. And then you can be like open for half the year basically then, and then you're building. And then so it really, even just adding that season adds a lot, and especially if you can open without turnover time, you don't
Hmm.
need to reskin your haunt. You just walk them over next to the next door. Okay, here you go. And he has a Christmas bar, really nice Christmas bar. They do VIP packages and they sell out that stuff. And so does Hush. Where the haunt I worked at last season, they do a big Christmas bar there and they have VIP rooms and sell out the VIP rooms. I mean, same thing the theme parks are doing, right? It's these levels of experiences. Chris Stafford is really good at this too. Looking at how 13th Floor is expanded throughout the country. They don't just do the Halloween events anymore. They also produce events for other people and they do VIP experiences at all their stuff. And for Valentine's Day, I forgot about this. For Valentine's Day, 13th Floor, since they operate Dark Harbor at the Queen Mary in Long Beach, they're just throwing like a party where they're just opening areas of the ship and the haunt and but it's not a walkthrough, it's more like a themed party with the icon characters and they're doing improv and it's more of a relaxed event like that, a higher engagement event. So even they're experimenting with different models for this. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you got to. I mean, host weddings, host birthday parties. There's people that are doing like dinner shows and
yep. I
like you
saw
said,
that. Yeah, people commenting on
secret
it.
bars and different experiences, like where you have a VIP ticket and you get to let in a different room. You get a little different experience if you pay a little extra and come out with blood over your face or whatever. It's yeah, they've done taunts have come a long way since the JC days and the YMCA days and
Yeah.
just the Boy Scout. There's still some good Boy Scout. Actually, I think there's some good JC haunts out there too that are still doing it. Their budget doesn't seem to be a big budget, but they got heart and soul because I've been to a few of them.
Yep.
I'm like, y'all are pretty good. So y'all actors are on point. So we talked about seasonal events. We talked about marketing. It's 8:45. Daryl, is there any other questions in the chat?
Yeah, George has got what type of things can be used to help upsell VIP tickets? What extra stuff is enticing for those VIPs and that extra bucks?
So I feel like I always go back to the question of like that depends on your area and your audience. But I think it really does. And I have seen the VIP gambit run all over. Like I've seen all sorts of stuff with this, and I think it does. Really, a lot of it does depend on your local market. Like I guess some concrete examples. One of the VIP programs I love is actually at Salt Lake City Fear Factory there, Spencer, where he does like a Rockstar package where it's like instant access and they come and meet you at the gate and kind of like chaperone you around and you get a t-shirt and you get all these things. So it's like a bundle. You get stuff from the bar, you get the t-shirt, you get the instant access, you get the whole thing, right? And that's one option. In crowded markets that tend to have long waits, you see VIP stuff center around giving them a reduced or no wait time. However, I had also an interesting discussion with Alan Hops about this, and he doesn't necessarily like no wait times because he thinks that if the line is a big part of your experience and getting rid of the wait entirely, then they are actually missing a big part of the experience. And that's something I'd never thought of. But so again, that's why it kind of depends on your haunt, right? Is the queue line a big part of the haunt experience? And then maybe you don't want to give instant access. Maybe it's just a reduced access or a through line, a faster wait for that. Or maybe it becomes something like a dedicated room or access to a specific area. The way it works at Hush, for example, is kind of have 3 levels, I guess. General admission without the bar pass. So they just go through the haunt as normal and they wait in the general line. And the way it does it is the line is outside and then it goes inside. And once it's inside, that's kind of our midway area. So it's still a linear thing, but just the midway is like, the line is in the midway. If that makes sense. Okay, so general, that's one. Level 2 then would be they buy the bar pass, which gives them access to the bars. It's like a cover charge, right? So that's a little bit of a different experience because then they can wait in the first bar there that kind of overlooks the regular line. It's on like a raised platform, and so they can overlook the regular line and they can still watch the shows. So it gives them access, right? So that's always a thing you can think about. Is there something you can give them access to for VIP? An extra less crowded place to wait, or a place that has some water, or a thing that you give them access to, right? So and then Hush does have a VIP option, which comes with a much shorter wait too, right? So you can they can choose which thing they want. But the VIP tickets, it can range through all those things. You could give them, it could include souvenirs, printed photo, any souvenirs, merch shop. It could include food or food packages. It could include access to a thing or an area. It could include reduced wait times. Also, there's, last year Woods of Terror did a whole separate VIP paid night where it included a talk from Alan Hops and from Eddie. So it was a chance to meet the owners and hear from them. But I've seen haunts do a makeup package where the VIP people get to be turned into monsters.
Swag boxes.
The spy boxes. I mean, there's like the list goes on and on and on. Like there's so many innovative things that haunts are doing. That's why I'm like, it goes back to what does your market expect? And again, what the wait times are like, what does your market expect, and what does your audience kind of want, and where their price point is at.
Throw a T-shirt in there.
Yeah, and because also I think haunts in busier areas have to be more creative versus haunts that are if you have no anyone if no one is around you, you probably could do less of a VIP package, or you could do basic, expedited, and then crazy VIP thing just to get publicity.
Right.
Like something just insane, like the monster package, or like the become a scare actor thing, or that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely you definitely learn as you get into the business and you kind of see, you know, there's many things that I learned just in the 7 years I was doing it. It was like, and there was things that I wish I had the money to do, and there's things I
Yep.
wish I had the time to do. But we tried different things. We never had any like I know some people use celebrities, have a celebrity out, celebrity
Yep.
night. I know that's a big thing with other haunts.
Yep.
Have
Yeah, I
a
went I actually did. I went. See, it's funny because I forget about all these things until then you say it, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I
oh
did
yeah, I
that.
did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I went to Kevin Donovan from Everhaunt in Buffalo, New York, invited me this last season up to see his haunt, and he was gracious enough to pay for my gas and my hotel. And he does celebrity nights every night he's open. Like every night he's open, he has a different celebrity. And some of them are really big and some are smaller, but he has them set up. There's a table. So in it's not really his haunt's very small, very good, but also really tight. And so in the area that I guess you would call his midway, there is he has a little area where he puts them, and they can sign, they can do autographs, pictures. He has a little photo op there for them. So he kind of has a space built for that celebrity item. And yeah, he books every night of his haunt, and they come up, and I guess it works for him.
Well, I know like backdrops become a big thing too, having different places that for the customers to take photos, make sure your logo's there. I know I know some people, where's your logo at? There's like,
Yeah.
but we had Justin Hill on and he was talking about how many different sections he has, just different backdrops for people to stand around and just take photos. Do you know what causes haunted attractions to shut down before they even get started? The top 3 roadblocks are lack of funding, lack of leadership, lack of resources. As a member of the Haunters Toolbox, you get instant access to the tools you need to start and grow your own haunted attraction business. To get started, become a member at haunterstoolbox.com.
Yeah, that is a whole. I guess you could call that a trend, but I'm not really sure it's a trend. I don't know what to label. I'm thinking about this. I don't know what to label it. Back when I see this, you just need to name things, and now I will tell you a story about a haunt that says it. But I need the prompting. So on photos, I wrote a story last year with Carlos Rivas at Harris Nightmare. Harris Nightmare. It's a new haunt. It received the HAA award for best new haunt last year, and it's in like year 2 or 3. It's a very new haunt, but he opened from day one with 3 haunts and a midway. So he like spent a lot of time building so that he could open from year one with a very impressive setup. And he's in an old, not an old, but he's in a mall that doesn't have a lot of other people, so they kind of give him a good deal. He has permanent location he can build on. What he did was he noticed that his photo ops were so popular that he this last year, so just in 2025, instead of opening a new haunt, because remember he already had 3 when he started, so he was gonna like add a 4th one or. So instead he added a whole photo experience that's like multiple, I think it's 12 or 13 rooms. So it's basically a haunt, but it's a photo experience, right? Instead
Right,
of
yeah.
you're just walking through the scenes. The scenes are just photo ops, and each
Hmm.
one, some of them have little interactive elements. It's a giant cockroach spray canister, and you get to press it, and the fog puffs out, or just fun little shticks to each. And there's some actors that roam around and take pictures with you, and so that is going to be his year-round element. Is he has a store that he built, and so he'll be able to open the store and the photo op experience year-round, so he can keep a staff kind of running that, and then that photo op experience can just be a selfie, kind of like a selfie museum thing at a
Yeah.
mall where you could just go in and he's able to reskin them and work it. But so this hits all these trends, right? The photo trend and the year-round trend and all this operating. And a lot of haunts have been doing photo ops so that's why I'm like, if you don't have photo ops at your haunt, that's like
That's
10
so
years
that's
ago.
yeah,
That
that's like
that's an
so
old
like 2016 stuff.
yeah, that's right. That's a very old problem. But the complexity of the photo ops, I think, is what we're seeing increase. And that is because it raises the perceived value of your haunt because people take pictures and they have that souvenir and then they share it. So it makes your haunt seem more valuable because it encourages people to take a moment to do a thing, but it also is marketing. Like it's just great. But I think it's no longer going to cut it if it's just the logo, right? I think the trend we're seeing is photo ops that are much more like engaging, that
Hmm.
are like whole experiences, right? Like um, Chris Stafford last year at Transworld, I'm sure everybody saw that entryway that he built,
Hmm.
the pumpkin-o-matic or thing or whatever that Chris Stafford made, right? That
Yeah.
was a like photo experience he had built for one of his attractions. And look at that thing was everywhere. Even the haunters, every haunter had made a video of it, right? And it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And for he also built a cider mill that was similar for the LA Haunted Hayride last year. And he didn't need to build the cider mill because the cider donuts are like just the donuts you need, like you order, they're like frozen and then you just like bake them. So
Yeah.
you don't need a mill. It's not like it's a fake cider mill. What's the point of it?
Right.
The point is just the photo op. That's the point.
Yep. And to go viral.
That's right. So yeah, I think that's yeah, the basic, I think we're moving away from basic photo ops and we're going into like, okay, how can we make the experiences out of it that then you're the souvenirs, I mean, whatever you photo you took of it or video or whatever nonsense. And some haunts like Carlos are just taking that to the next level by wondering if they could open it as a exhibit or as some sort of a thing that could operate
These
year
are
round.
you're giving us a lot of good ideas though, because maybe you don't have the budget or the time to make a grand, but you can take some of these ideas and scale them down and implement them into your attractions. So Philip, what are you excited about in 2026?
I don't know.
You have so many things going on. So, I mean, what's your favorite? What are you looking forward to the most this year?
I don't know. I kind of have no idea. Like I said, I'm overall, I think, I want to spend more time doing great work on stories I'm interested in. Instead of like, I don't know, I feel like I've been in this, how many haunts can I get to? And you're just, it's almost like it becomes repetitive, where you're like, go to haunt, get interview with human, edit thing, post thing about what human said. I mean, it's very, I
Hmm.
mean, some of that is neat, or there's some. I think it's important to have that type of level of reporting for our industry because we don't have it. I mean, so you know, hearing what they're gonna do for the East Coast Harness Convention, bus tours, like that's important, right? But I mean, I just want to focus on doing great stories on less, like just less, and spend more time making a great story. So
Like your story with the guy who started small in Vegas. That
yeah,
that
like
seems
like
like
Jason, yeah.
something deep
Uh,
like that. And
Yeah, I think just really focusing more and doing just better work, I think is what I'm looking forward to. So I'm definitely going to scale back the visiting a lot because I just think that's not what people need from us in a way. There's plenty of people that do video walkthroughs of haunts. So we don't need to stress so much about making covering all the haunts. Like that's not our job. And so I think I'm more excited about, picking those smaller stories and really working on them. And I'm gonna scale back a lot of our travel in that this year. And so I don't know. I think I'm probably gonna go to Hershey. This is their fifth year of doing Dark Nights, and I think we're probably gonna try and do a documentary about telling the 5 year history
oh
of some
yeah,
kind. So I think that'll be a big project. And I am trying to finish my book of the history of Halloween in Hong Kong, so I might need to go back to Hong Kong to to get some pieces I was missing. Like I had written it all the way up to the pandemic, right? And the problem then, like even though it's like a history book, it still has to be like a good story. And the problem with ending it in like 2020 is that they closed all the Halloween stuff in Hong Kong. So then the story just ends with and then everything closed. And you're like, well, great. That's a terrible ending. And
Yeah.
so now I've been kind of like sitting on this and waiting and the Hong Kong because that Hong Kong event used to be enormous. It was the Halloween epicenter of Asia. I mean, the Ocean Park there was like Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, huge, huge, massive event. So many they'd fly over. They'd have to get housing to house the actors because there's not enough actors like in Hong Kong to cover all of their shows and all of their haunts. So it was a huge endeavor, and then it all just like crashed in 2019. And so I think it's finally getting back to where it was, and they have an in-house team again, and they're back to doing their own Halloween stories and their own haunts and everything. And so I think now is the year to try and
Yeah.
it's a better ending to the story rather
Right.
than and then the pandemic happened and Halloween just disappeared from Asia. The end. Like,
You need
please
a
buy
couple
the
more.
next book or
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
To be continued.
yeah, to be
Uh-huh.
continued. So I think now that's a little bit better. So I think those two things. I have to go to London for Gantom in late September, and I've connected with the Traumatica team in Germany, and I think I'm gonna go there to kind of probably do a longer story with the Traumatica team, because it's something that American audiences don't hear that much about those events that are in international areas, and they're over 20 years, and again, they're almost as big as Horror Nights, and
Mhm.
it's a big event, and there's a lot that goes into it. So I think that could be a good longer story to tell. So it might just be those three things. We'll see. We'll
See,
see.
we'll see if you can stay on track.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Okay.
I literally like have to slap myself. Like, stop it. Stop it.
Are you are you still doing like social media work for any other attractions, or Hush, or any other ones? Are you still taking
I
work for any attractions or people that
I
need
haven't
videos or
decided yet.
okay.
We'll see. Right now, I am selling vendor highlight videos for Transworld. So if we're gonna, where I'm trying to pay for my ticket to get to Transworld and all the expenses and all that. So I'm selling vendor videos. So those are like a video spot for Transworld, and I think it's $300 for the video and the distribution on all of our channels and inclusion in our big video and all that kind of stuff. So I'm selling those, so those are still available if anyone wants one, but they're doing that.
You have
And
a
then we'll
deadline?
see. Well, probably when they're sold out. I think I'm just gonna do 10. So when they go, they go.
Okay. All right.
Catch me on the show floor and be like, Philip, you're gonna break my
Okay.
credit card scanner. But we're I'm doing that, and then I don't know yet about the during the haunt season because there's a lot of work with Gantom, if going trade shows and all that. And if I'm telling these three stories, I'm not sure I'll have the bandwidth to do any other items, but maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, because haunts don't ever have that many. The budgets are usually pretty low, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, that was always our thing too, was trying to figure out. I'm more organic, like you as
yeah.
well, where I try to do things myself and parades and but I do like the off-season promotion, off-season events because it helps promote your haunt
That's
off-season
right.
too. The people that may not be interested in Halloween might come to your Valentine's Day haunt, and then they might go, well, let's go back and come back in October. Or, we'd have like stuff for the kids and family, flea
Yeah.
market, craft shows during the fall, and that brought in people too, parents that would bring their kids, and then, oh, we're coming back later.
Yeah.
So anything you do off season is going to, cross promote your
Yeah.
event too. So
It's surprising. Haunters, I hear that over and over and over in all the interviews I do about the off-season events. And also that they're always surprised at the new markets that it gives them access to,
hmm
especially if they do stuff that's not just about Halloween, or like, Alan, Ashley, they all mention people surprised at the markets that they break into with doing those events. So yeah, we hear that a lot. Forgot to mention too that that I'm also excited about Transworld and the Oscars, which I am producing again. I'm the co-chair of the committee, and we're producing that again this year. And this year, we are going to announce them ahead of time. So that announcement is going to come out next week. The board decided that, like you're saying about the promotion, so like I think it makes more sense to announce them early because then the haunt can talk about it. The haunt can promote that they received the award. The vendors also can talk about it before Transworld so that people can
Yeah.
like go to the vendor's booth or get that little bit of buzz.
Uh-huh.
And I interview most of the winners, which I'm getting ready to start doing this week, one a week from now through the Transworld. So that also allows me then to get that content out earlier so that people can learn about the winners before they show up. You can hear about some of the stories of some of these people before they actually show up. So that's going to be a big change this year. I'm excited for that because I do think it's better. Also, maybe it's just me. Like as soon as Transworld is over, I'm like, we're done. It's haunt season. Like I think that's like it. I'm not thinking about, that's like my professional development brain is like this time. It's not like April, May, June. That's like
Yeah.
you better have your plan already by that time or you're in serious.
Yeah, it was like after Transworld, we were in build phase, and then November hit, and I was done.
Yep.
Because I didn't do any off-season events or Christmas stuff, so I was done maybe until after the first of the year, and then it started. Then it was well, since we're eventing at Transworld, it was getting ready for the Transworld, so that's where I'm at now.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
I don't know how I did everything when I was doing the haunt, so I don't know
I
how
don't
you did
either.
everything, Philip.
I was thinking that the other day I was looking at I was looking at my like schedule for haunt season. I was like, wait, how did I do this?
Yeah.
How did I get to all these places to do all these things? And I don't know, but it's
Time
not
traveler?
Hmm?
You time traveler?
Maybe.
Oh, that'd be so handy.
Right?
It would be. Just think of how many haunts you could see in one night. Like when you're trying to make 2 or 3 in one night and they're like an hour apart and you only have like the 4-hour window that the haunts are open and you're like, okay, if this haunt takes 30 minutes an hour and then 30 and then you're like
Just pause it and be back to your chair, and there you are. Yeah.
ugh.
Clone
Yeah, but then you
yourself.
could be 6 times as tired in the same amount of time.
That's true.
Yes.
Wouldn't solve that problem, would it? Unless you clone yourself.
No, because I would want to experience it. Having my clone experience it doesn't mean that I
That's
experience
true.
it.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Unless it
now,
was
the clone could work the day job because it could probably figure out, how to reset people's passwords, and I could go to the haunts and
there you
experience them
go.
all.
Right.
That's so funny because that's always the thing about AI, right? Is we're like, it would be nice to have the AI do that stuff, like the password. Like, it's like I want AI to like wash my sheets and clean the dishes, and also I need to fix the disposal, and also there's that crack on my windshield, and I could just keep listing things. That's what I want AI to do,
Uh-huh.
right? Like I don't want it to like write for me because I want to do the writing. Like,
Right.
it's like ugh.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, it's like how do we take back control and free up our
Well, I mean,
time to
we've
do
we've
that?
come
With
a
the
long
stuff
way.
I've seen online, I would be worried about AI doing any of that.
I know.
Well, we've come a long way. So we have the iRobots, right? We have the ones that cut your grass now.
Oh God, I know. I don't have
So there's not sure I trust a robot with a blade, but um,
my friends have a robot cat litter slash feeder combo thing that like automatically scrapes the litter and feeds the cat, and you just refill it like once a month, and it like does it. I'm like, well, that's
right, cleans itself, and
yeah. Oh, that's how fancy.
yeah, seen the ones the robot arms that are making breakfast, and they're doing this stuff, and so I
Yeah,
see
see,
how
like,
things.
that's the stuff. Yeah, keep me on my diet. Bake my chicken for me. Make sure I get my macros. Like,
You're
weigh
like
my
the
little chicken.
you're
Like,
like
why
the
can't I do that?
Jetsons and Rosie, or a little Rosie.
One
Yeah,
day we'll get there.
yeah.
I hope.
Well, Philip, thank you for your time. I'll see you. I guess see you at Trans World. Swing by and say hi. Usually I get to see you briefly because by the time I see you, you're already about 3 days deep and
I'm doing
a
less this
hundred
time,
videos
right?
later. So
I'm doing less this time, even
Okay.
at Transworld. Yeah. So I have last year I was working a lot more for Transworld. I'm still working for Transworld this year, but it more on the PR side, and so it'll be a little bit less work for me. And then I'll be covering the show and getting my own content. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully it'll be because it was too much. I mean, it got very stressful last year, and also I have to go to IAPA Middle East, so I'm literally leaving at 4 a.m. Sunday morning from Transworld
Mm.
and going straight to Abu Dhabi. But I have one layover in LA and one layover in Doha, and then we're going to Abu. So it's and so I'm gonna have to like figure out how to logistically do that because I don't need my camera. I gotta like put away my haunt stuff and get out my business person stuff, and take and fly that into the country and yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah,
so
you
yeah, less is more.
wear a lot of hats, don't you?
Trying to get less. We gotta
Try
eliminate. Gotta, like
less.
simplify. Essentialism.
Right, right. I
Ask me
understand.
how it's going in October.
Yeah, we will.
What
Well,
did we
where
call?
can people find all of the things that you do that they might be interested in if they don't know already?
I think the best place is the newsletter that we have for the Haunted Attraction Network. And you can get there from our website. Just go to hauntedattractionnetwork.com and there's a little sign up for the newsletter button there. Um, Daryl reads it every week, literally. He also reads it aloud every week for our podcast version. But
Correct
I think,
typos.
yeah, that's true. I was like, oh, shoot. Uh, so I think we try and put everything there for that. I always link to the green tagged episodes in there, and we always link to all the other stuff that we're doing. So I try and make that the home base for everything. But that aside, you can. I'm most responsive on Instagram or on Messenger, on Facebook. So if you want to send me a message, you can do that. My email is also on the network website, so just contractnetwork.com. Contact. Our email is there. Also, everybody listening, we promote haunts all year round. We do our weekly newsletter. We do all this content. So please send me your press releases about your haunt. We don't charge to promote haunts for that kind of stuff. If you want me to come out to your haunt and make a video, then we know that's different. But like the digital, all this stuff, we do it to help the industry. So go to our website. My email address is there. You can send me information about your haunt. We'll put it in where we can get it in, that kind of stuff. So please do that. And you can also just reply to the newsletter if you're on our newsletter. You just reply to it. A lot of people do that as well. And then we put the news in the next week. But I also do the weekly Green Tagged show, which has a separate website, which you can go to greentagshow.com. And then I write for all those places, like I mentioned. So I don't know about that because maybe just watch my Instagram. Maybe I don't know.
Because you're trying to simplify.
Well, here's the thing I'm thinking about, and this is we're like I'm still workshopping this, so you can tell me what you think. But I'm thinking, for the network, really we're basically like the local newspaper. That's what we are for the haunt industry. It's a little
Hmm.
community paper, and I think that's the role that nobody else does. So it's good because that's what nobody else is doing that. So I think that's the best role for us. But I'm thinking in the larger sense, the best thing I can do for haunted houses is to help promote them because that's the best thing that I can do. And so when I'm looking at some of these other stories, I think a lot of it is like, can I go to the Hershey Park thing, but also could I pitch that to a travel magazine, talking about the evolution of Hershey, or can you pitch it to a different outlet, or could I get it picked up by a bigger station or something, or what can I do to take these really interesting things that the haunters are doing and try and push them to a larger audience to get attention to our community as a whole, so it's not quite so unhinged as it seems, where it seems like Philip, you're doing a million things. It's more like I'm like, okay, Jason's story is a great story about the evolution of Halloween and how it started with a passion for Halloween and it grew and now it's this whole thing. But I'm writing that for a magazine, but it's also a way to get our industry out there. But so, it's still that focus of we're telling really great stories, but I'm also like, how can we get these stories to other people and get it to other industries so they understand the value that our
Right.
community
They
has?
can relate to
Yeah.
grassroots and building a
Yeah.
business and
Yeah.
setbacks and,
That's right.
all the, Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, so that's more what I mean. So it's not quite as unhinged as it sounds. It's more like I'm like, okay, what are these stories? And then how can we get them out there in front of other readers? And then, you know, and then that's balanced with the regular reporting that we do on a weekly basis for the industry. Yeah.
Well,
Get on the
always
newsletter.
get on the newsletter. Subscribe. Always like picking your brain, my friend.
Yeah, it's fun. Did we get all the questions? Are we missing anything? Are we good?
No, I think that was all of the questions that were asked in the chats today. But we did have a bunch of people that are watching, so
Oh, good.
obviously you are well known in the industry, and everybody likes to see the smiling face.
Yeah.
And we're glad that you could make it on the show this evening and chat for a little while.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. If anyone has any additional questions, like I said, hauntedattractionnetwork.com. My email is right there. Our contact form is there. You can reach out to me there or DM me on Instagram or Messenger if you have any follow-ups, or just send me news to promote your haunt or whatever. We did just run a big story on all of the Valentine's haunts. And if you were not in it, I apologize, but also send me your information next time.
And so, how many stories did you do on Valentine's Day?
Oh
On
my
the haunts?
God. We did we posted a guide that we just updated, but I did the Horrorland Miami, the Cinema of Horrors event, and we did Love is Blind, a Dark Hour, and Fright Nights West Virginia event. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, five stories. Yeah, and then we did the big guide that lists them all by state and who's opening and all that. We put that
Yes.
on
And
Facebook to try and get
that's
that out
right
there.
on the top of that guide is right on the top of the hauntedattractionnetwork.com
Yes.
website as well.
Yep. We're trying to make sure people know that haunts are open for, for
So
Halloween.
go check
Get
it
there.
out because that's this weekend.
It is.
And there are a lot of haunts that are open this weekend because I read them off for the past 3 weeks every
know.
time.
I kind of two-speed those. I just like, all right. I want to hear Missouri. I know Missouri because I think Terror 66 is one of them, and the Darkness I think is another one doing events. But and actually we've been fairly having some nice weather, and what nice weather this weekend for Missouri. So we're in about, well, say nice. It's like in the 50s, but it's been here like 5, 0, -10. So
That's crazy.
50
Yeah.
is nice. It's like it's bad when you think I was 45 degrees today and I was wearing shorts. So
Yeah.
it was nice. Yeah. Well, thanks again. Thanks everybody for your questions. Philip will see you at Transworld. So if you see Philip at Transworld, say hi to him. He's a good guy. He'll stop and talk to you.
Yeah. Thank
Unless
you,
he's going to a
everyone.
class or something, or going to
Yeah, we know where we know how to get a hold of you. We just don't know where you are at any given moment because you are all over the place. So hopefully that gets to settle down just a little bit this year, but you continue to provide all of this incredible information. And part of
Well,
that is
where I will be guaranteed and where everyone should be is at the Oscars ceremony, which is
Yep.
Saturday night of Transworld. Doors open at 5 p.m. Ceremony starts at 5:30. The association provides free food to everybody. So you don't need a ticket to enter. You just come in. There's carving stations, there's free food. You get to network with people. So I'll be there for sure. And then Jen called me last week and told me there was some fancy AI guy coming to give a talk at Transworld, and so I'll probably also be at that talk.
Oh, sweet. You might know more about AI by next time we interview you.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. Or the robots will have taken over.
Well, until they take over, everyone, thanks for joining us this evening. Have yourself a wonderful Friday the 13th. Happy Valentine's Day as well. Hopefully that love doesn't scare everybody, but scares a lot.
It's love bites, love hurts,
Exactly.
but love can be good too. All right, signing off. Thanks, Philip. Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Till next time. Peace.
This podcast episode sponsored by Scare It badges. Get your Scare Badges at scarebadges.com. Also sponsored by Haunter's Toolbox. Take your haunt to the next level at haunterstoolbox.com. Thank you for listening to Haunt Topic Radio. Please leave a comment wherever you found this podcast. Each comment you leave will help spread the word to other haunters around the world. See you next time.